I was in a hurry to go on a date with my new boyfriend. Even though he was married, it didn't stop us from dating. But when I came to the cafe, he was almost kissing a blonde. Great. I ran over to them and threw the pregnancy test on the table. Not only do we have a date at this diner, but you're cheating on me. Give me the money quickly before your wife finds out about your affairs. He turned pale with fear, laid out a few $100 and ran away. And the blonde and I exchanged glances and went to the exit. We got in the car and Blonde immediately took off her wig. Actually, this was my brother Billy. I gave him half the money. Thank you, brother. Yes, we earned money by cheating romantic married men out of their money. I went on dates with them first, and then Billy came into play in my entrance with a pregnancy test. These males were ready to give everything. If only their wives did not find out about their cheating. But even with this income, our family barely had enough to eat. Our dad left us at a very young age. Our mom worked hard, but she could not survive the betrayal of our dad. She began to secretly drink, and once, mom saw dad with another young girl and got very drunk, after which she was fired. I can still remember her words that day. Say thank you to your daddy. You can't earn much in a normal job. And then it dawned on me. I could become the young mistress that men like my dad spent money on. So I would take revenge on all such men for my mom. And at the same time, I would earn money. But I realized that I couldn't do it alone. I needed help. I didn't have many friends. And who would agree to such a thing? And then I thought of Billy. My brother had very fine features. And yet he was an actor. So it was easy to get used to the role. At first, Billy was against seducing man, but the final argument was his study in a prestigious theater school. He wasn't likely to enter on a budgetary basis, and we did not have money to pay for his studies. To study at the theater and become a world star was the dream of his whole life. The hope that had almost been extinguished was rekindled in him. That's how we started our scams. The perfect sugar daddies usually drank alone in bars. I sat down with them, word for word, and I was already treated to drinks. And after a couple of days of romance, my brother would kick into action. I'd set up another date for my victims, but I'd accidentally be late. Instead of me, Billy would sit down with them and quickly seduce them. And as soon as it came to a kiss, I would appear in the cafe and make a scene. Waving a fake pregnancy test. We played this performance one by one. And everything was great. The vibrating phone brought me back from my memories to reality. Billy just got a call from the acting school. The entrance exam was postponed. It would be in a week. And then we would have to pay for the studies right away. Billy dropped his head. Where can we find so much money in a week? He asked. Well, I had one contingency plan. We could choose a victim of some serious rich man. There were scums among them, just like our dad. And they had a lot of money. That evening, Billy and I rented some fancy clothes. We needed to look expensive. And then I went to the best restaurant in our city. I walked proudly past the tables. I couldn't believe I was here again. All evening, I threw passionate glances at the man. But no one approached me. I was about to go home. We only wasted the money for renting outfits. But suddenly a gallant man in his 40s came up to me and introduced himself as Glam. He was wearing a suit, a gold watch, and a wedding ring. Well, I invited him to sit at the table. The game began. Glam ordered us some lobsters and we started talking. I tried to get information from him about his money and his family, but Glam kept changing the subject. And he was always joking, but I didn't want any jokes from him. I tried to touch his hand gently, but he immediately pulled it away. Then he politely invited me to his friend's yacht party tonight. Of course, I agreed. As we rode in the taxi, I was sure Glam liked me. Why else would he call me on the yacht? That's where I would seduce him. On the yacht, I offered Glam to go to a cabin, but he looked away from me. Hey, what does that mean? And then Glam suggested watching the sunset. It was better than sitting in a cabin with a small window. Glam and I spent the rest of the evening discussing each other's hobbies and interests. I didn't even notice how time flew by. But I still didn't know how to seduce him. Talking to him? The party ended and Glam drove me home. I wanted to at least kiss him goodbye. But at the last second, Glam pretended that someone had called him and turned away. He was a strange man. I got out of the car and slammed the door, and as soon as I went in, my brother Billy was waiting for me. eager to find out how it had gone. But I said it was more complicated than usual. This rich Glam didn't buy into my pickup attempts. Billy got mad and accused me of being too slow. He had an exam and admission the other day. The money was needed now, and then he abruptly and coldly declared that we had to act more decisively. Billy, how stubborn you are. Don't worry. I'll handle it. It was strange. I used to get mad in a few hours. What happened to me? The next night, I went on a date with Glam again. He was already waiting for me at the cafe, and as soon as I sat down at the table, Glam said that he wanted to tell me something. But then my phone rang. It was Billy. What a bad time. I apologized to Glam and walked away to answer. Then I heard the bell on the front door. I looked around and saw Billy standing in the doorway, dressed as a blonde. He still didn't listen to me. He was striding toward our table. Billy, wait. You're going to ruin this. Stubborn, selfish boy. I quickly ran to Billy and dragged him around the corner. What the hell? My brother snapped that he had no more time to wait. He needed money to pay for the admission. Or had I forgotten about his dream and become obsessed with this Glam? I promised that tomorrow we would carry out our plan and somehow pushed Billy out of the restaurant. I caught the first taxi. We're going home. On the way, I wrote to Glam and apologized for my sudden disappearance, and had to lie that my cat was sick and I urgently needed to see the vet. I asked him to reschedule the date for tomorrow. I was afraid that Glam would get angry, but he suddenly invited me to his house. Wow. I was beaming with happiness, so I still had a chance. But Billy couldn't get over it, and he kept saying we still didn't have a penny. I felt like I was being pricked. I hated to admit it, but Billy seemed to be right. No matter how cute Glam was, I had to try and get the money. After all, my brother and mom needed help. It's decided. The next morning, I put on a low-cut dress and high heels. No man could resist. After that, I took a taxi to Glam's house. I wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. Glam wasn't a bad person at all, but I quickly pushed those thoughts away. That's what we thought about our dad too, and he turned out to be a traitor. The car was already pulling up, and I saw Glam's swanky mansion. Everything was like in the movies. A swimming pool, golden statues, a fountain. Such luxury. Glam met me at the gate and invited me into the house. He was visibly nervous. Maybe something had happened. I took his hand. Is that what you wanted to say yesterday? Glam sighed and said he couldn't make me happy. What was he talking about? He had a palace here. And then Glam said that he was once rich. But a couple of years ago, his daughter got sick. His wife left them, and he spent almost everything on medical treatment, even had to mortgage this house. What? Then Glam said that even if I didn't want to see him again, he would like me to meet his daughter Lilo. Then he timidly opened the door of one of the rooms. A pale girl of about 6 lay on the bed, under the ivies. I felt uneasy at the thought that I was going to steal the last of Glam's money. He spent everything on his daughter's treatment. At that moment, Glam's phone rang and he was called to work. It was urgent. Glam excitedly asked if I could sit with Lilo. I was confused, but I couldn't leave her alone. Glam left, and I sat by Lilo's bed. It was hard for me to look at the poor girl. I turned my eyes to the window, and then I saw a dark figure climbing over the fence. My heart sank. Someone had broken into the Glam land. There was no time to think. Then my eyes fell on the poker by the fireplace. I picked it up and walked slowly to the back entrance. The door handle turned, and I screamed at the thief. But when I saw him, I was taken aback. It was Billy. He viciously praised me for leading him to a rich man's house. I couldn't let him steal from Glam. You wouldn't dare, Billy. But then I heard the police sirens. Damn it, Billy. We're going to jail now. Half an hour later, Billy and I were in the precinct. I was desperate, but suddenly Glam came into the cell with a policeman. The cop barked that we were free, and Glam sternly told us to follow him. He took us to a nearby cafe, and Billy and I sat down carefully across him. I felt like a little girl who had done something wrong, but Glam suddenly sighed and said, "I am your father." What? Billy and I looked at each other in dismay. He asked us to finish listening to him. Dad was forbidden to communicate with us since Mom had achieved full custody, and he wanted it so badly. My fist clenched in anger. If you wanted to hang out with us, you wouldn't have a mistress. But Dad was confused and said that he was young and stupid. He thought that he would find true love. But in time, he realized that he had lost it. Glam continued. He really wanted to meet Billy and me, but he couldn't figure out where to take us. So Glam decided to follow us and find out what kind of cafes Billy and I liked. However, he soon found out that we cheated men out of their money. He was terribly worried and decided to stop us. As proof that Glam was indeed our dad, he pulled out a crumpled photo of Glam holding Billy and me in his arms. A lump rose in my throat. Yes, everyone makes mistakes, and Billy and I are no exception. And after that, we apologized to Glam, Dad. And I think he forgave us after all. After that, I arranged a meeting between Dad and Mom. He finally asked her to forgive him for the pain he had caused. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I think she found the strength to forgive him. Soon, she gave up drinking and got a new job. And finally, I was happy to spend time at home with my family. And Billy got into acting school on a budgetary basis. All he had to do was come to admission examinations in the image of a charming beauty. The commission was shocked that there was a guy standing in front of them. My brother and I stopped cheating on men, and I spent most of my time with Lilo. I think I finally realized that there is nothing more precious than family. And if you want to keep it, then only by good deeds. Did you like the video? Subscribe and like it. Support the channel. Thank you.